Hello, everybody! Full interest. There is a smudge on just inside of my glasses, and I'm going to end up cross-eyed for most of the episode. So, My Hero Academia, episode
Yep.
60... What?
Episode
62?
61.
61.
61.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
Deku versus Kachan Part 2.
Yeah. Part 1 was in the
Yeah.
first season. Probably.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly it. Part 1 was way earlier on. So most of this episode is just the fight and the things that happen within it.
Mm-hmm.
When let's just go through when you first read this, what was your response? Because you read the manga ahead of time.
I did. My response to the fight itself was it was pretty brief. It really just stuck to the major points of what would happen in the fight. Of the right hook thing again, and using shoot style and the fake out and all that stuff. It really focused on all of that with occasional little snippets of like flashbacks and stuff. But yeah, it was very brief, but impactful. Like, as what's his name, Horikoshi?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Horikoshi.
his writing tends to be. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty much the writing style I enjoy very much. It's very brief. It doesn't waste time with a lot of overly verbose pontifications on whatever the story is about. It's effectively beige prose.
Everything feels like it matters.
Yeah.
And
it is the artistic version of beige prose because it's not prose, obviously. But yeah.
you know, it is. It is. I know this is probably going to sound a little bit snobby, but it is the more professional way of writing. Like, say, for example, you're writing a short story. You don't want to waste any space in a short story. And it's that kind of technique that's applied to a lot of this stuff. Because it would be easy to really pad this fight out and add in a lot of choreography with them yelling each other's names back and forth. But I feel like that wouldn't add much to the story.
We could debate. Like, every writer has a particular thing that they're very good at and things they're not so good at. I likewise am not good at all at padding things out. I literally can't do it. That may be overstating it, but I struggle massively with doing that. I don't want to waste time on things that I consider unimportant. So,
because like there is time, like, to kind of put this in better perspective, there are places where you want to take a breather and where you do have that space to be more description heavy, more padding it out, more just because you need that space for certain things. I feel like we've had a lot of space between Deku versus Kachen Part 1 and Deku versus Kachen Part 2. And I'm going to keep saying it like
but sure.
Kachan. I'm going to keep saying it like that. You can't stop me. Nobody can stop me. Kachan. Because I just like the idea of Deku saying, but Kachan! It's little things in life that make me happy like that.
Anyway.
But Kachan, like, there's been a lot of space and a lot of build up to this kind of inevitable confrontation, where it's been mostly in the background until now, but now everything's kind of bubbling to the surface. So in this fight, we learn that Bakugo feels responsible for All Might losing his powers because he did that to save him. And that, like, for somebody who already gets his, like, he got his ego hurt when Deku would save him or, like, try to help him. But to have your hero that you strive to surpass lose their powers trying to protect you, it
Yeah.
makes you feel.
Yeah, Bakugo's motivation is not in any... Well, it's similar, but not the same as Deku's. Deku
Mm.
looks up to All Might and aims to emulate him. Bakugo wants to up and be better than All Might, which
Yes.
means having to be saved by the person you want to surpass and be better than is just a very strong and unforgivingly blunt way of saying you are nowhere fucking near, dude. You are so far behind. And by the way, I do want to point out, and this might be a little obvious, I'm not sure, but I like what Bakugo's outfit is for this scene because it's the same outfit Endeavor was wearing in his flashback of the black tank.
I didn't even realize. Wow. That's actually really cool. Like, and added on to that is, well, he did also want to surpass him. It's not just that he's weak, it's just that, like, this is his worldview crashing of himself being on top. Because it's been crashing down for a long time, and this is it finally, like, hitting a breaking point. And, you know, and he yells out at Deku saying, you know, you were looking down on me, weren't you? You know, thinking he's all smug because he suddenly got way stronger. He has All Might backing him up. And that kind of irks Bakugo because that means that he wasn't picked as being worth in his mind.
What I really like about this fight is particularly about the voice acting. Bakugo, his performance is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But his performance also sounds very young. Like,
you can hear his voice crack.
Yeah, that big scream where his voice not only cracks, it fractures practically.
Yeah.
It's the sound of a kid realizing how the world works and that it can be cruel and unforgiving. It is a loss of innocence moment. It is the moment when Bakugo realizes he can't be a little kid shouting from the rooftops that he's going to be the greatest anymore. It is his growing up moment. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, Deku hasn't had his yet. It's coming, but he hasn't really had it yet. So
yeah. Deku, meanwhile, from his perspective, he's thinking, this is an absolutely pointless fight. There's nothing to be gained by fighting him, but like, I'm not going to be your sandbag, and if you're going to be needing all of this, like, stress relief, and if you're feeling so pent up and just guilty about this, fine, I'll fight you. It is two kids fighting in the schoolyard because they've kind of had enough.
And Deku acknowledges something interesting about the character that I hadn't really noticed that much. I'm not entirely sure how true it is looking back at it, just mentally. I might actually have to look back at it, but he says that when he really strives to win a fight, he will start insulting people more because his image of someone who always goes for the win and pursues victory no matter what is Bakugo.
Think about, like, when he fought Bakugo, there's the, I want to surpass you, you idiot. there was when he fought against Todoroki, he started really shouting and screaming at Todoroki, and like he kind of emulates Bakugo whenever he's needing to really win to a certain extent.
Hmm.
I even think the fight against Muscular, he starts to shout once he gets really like desperate. Though that's more natural than just him trying to be more like Bakugo. But you can kind of see traces of that. Of he in his mind, like Bakugo is what it means to be the victor, and so when he wants to really win, he kind of unconsciously starts to emulate him. And it's funny because Bakugo is very much, in a lot of regards, he is a shonen protagonist in terms of like the excitable, yelling, oftentimes getting a little bit angrier type.
He's the typical shonen protagonist. Yes,
that's kind of what I'm going for. And so it's kind of like when Midoriya gets really like, I need to win this, he becomes that typical shonen protagonist that Bakugo is in those moments.
Yeah,
which is an interesting thing.
Yeah. So while this fight's going on, the robots, the little scout robots that they have all over UA, say, "Hey, fucking stupid humans are fighting. They're from 1A, so Aizawa, get your fucking butt here, you stupid asshole."
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting. So stop.
And Aizawa's like, oh, really? And he's about to get up, and then we see a bandaged hand, and somebody is standing there blocking him. Kind of away from that though.
Yep,
but,
and the fight continues and finishes, basically, with Bakugo basically winning.
Yeah, Deku realizes he can go to 8%.
Well, he doesn't. He realizes later, but yes.
But like he ends up going a little bit farther than he could before.
Yep.
And the extra speed boost gives him a bit of an advantage. But again, keep in mind he's still using a fighting style that he has had not a lot of practice with shoot style, whereas Bakugo's been using the same fighting style for a long time and has been advancing it.
Yep.
And Bakugo wins, but he's not happy with it. Because why would you lose? You shouldn't be the one losing in this situation, considering what you have going for you.
Yep, you have the power of the best hero in the world, so how dare you lose?
Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to lose, kind of thing.
Yeah, because if All Might can't be the bar that I want to surpass, then it should be you, if you got his power.
Mm-hmm.
So how dare you lose to me when I'm not strong enough to call myself the best yet?
Yeah. Which is really interesting. It really changes up the dynamic. I just really like this character dynamic so much more than, say, Naruto and Sasuke. Because there's just... Naruto, it's such a low bar in that regard. But, like...
It's a low bar because they didn't even bother trying to establish what it was supposed to be until the very last fucking chapter. So...
There's so many layers to this sort of relationship they have that you can kind of unpack. And All Might appears from the shadows and is like, hey, stop. I'm sorry, young Bakugo. I was not paying attention, and I should have helped you. He kind of pulls Bakugo into a hug and just kind of slaps his arm away. And
eventually, yes.
Eventually. There's a few moments where it's just kind of...
Like, I need this, but my pride, my Saiyan pride, I mean my hero pride, and slaps him away.
And it's a weird case where it's like Vegeta wants Goku to be stronger than him so that he can have something to strive for. Is the best I can try to explain this. And All Might explains the situation of how the power works, how we chose Midoriya, which, by the way, Bakugo was like, why him? And All Might says, because...
you would have done fine. He showed the ideal of what a hero should do. He was the most heroic person in that moment, so I figured he deserved to be in the fight, basically.
It's like, you are already strong, but even though he was powerless, he still was able to be the most heroic one on the scene, and I think he deserves the right to at least be at the starting line. Yeah. And Bakugo's like, you have the strongest person supporting you. You're not allowed to lose. And Deku's like, well, I'll like, Bakugo's like, well, I'm gonna surpass you. And then Deku's like, no, I'm gonna surpass you and go even higher. And then Bakugo's like, what? No, I'm gonna surpass. And it starts kind of a bit bickering, and it's like, now they're finally proper rivals. Yeah. Okay, now they don't actually. It's kind of a relief because it's not that they hate each other. They're not friends either, but they're rivals.
On the one hand, this is a change in the dynamic, which is great because relationships should grow and change, and that's good character progression. On the other hand, the character dynamic is now standard shonen, more or less, which, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more bog standard, but that's not necessarily a terrible thing. If it's still done well, then who cares, really?
I think it says something that it took them this long to work their way up to a standard shonen rival relationship. Because normally you start there.
Yeah.
But here it kind of feels earned, in a sense. And that kind of makes it feel like a better dynamic.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of other rival dynamics.
Yeah. So, Aizawa has them all bandaged up. Figuratively speaking, it's not actually for injuries, it's just that's how he does things. And All Might steps in and is like, this is mostly our fault because we didn't really pay attention to what was going on. So Aizawa was like, okay, who threw the first punch? And Bakugo's like, yeah, it was me. But I totally did just, give it back as good as I got, says Deku. Yeah. So 4 days for Bakugo, 3 days for Midoriya on house arrest, and they have to clean the dorms. So that's how that ends, and that's how the most of the episode ends. But there's a post-credit scene.
Yeah, there's a cut to the next day where like, you guys were fighting, what? And they're just like, yeah, and Bakugo's just like, ah. And they're cleaning, and there's a post-credit scene where, they're just cleaning.
I think this was all post-credits, but yes.
No, that the post-credits was them just cleaning alone.
Either way, they do mention that those two are going to miss the opening ceremony, which seems strange. Like, actual official schooling stuff, they shouldn't. Whatever. That made no sense to me, but whatever. So they're alone in the dorms, vacuuming with the quietest vacuums in existence, and
it's the future, man.
Yeah, valid. It's like 200, 300 years in the future. Bakugo is like, no, Deku is like, so how was my shoot style? He asks quietly, and Bakugo's like, after a good 10, 20 seconds pause, your movements are too big. You telegraph your kicks really, really fucking hard. But that punch kind of pissed me off.
And, like, he's like, yeah, that kind of fighting style doesn't work well in a slugfest like that. And Deku's like, I see. And
not necessarily that it doesn't work well, just that it doesn't work well when it's so ill-refined. It needs work.
And it's like one moment of just kind of a genuine feedback, and it's really nice because that just all you need is that one moment to kind of establish how the dynamic has changed.
So there was a thing for the next episode. Either it's going to be a 24 episode season, or it's going to be a lot more than 25 episode season.
They're just leading up to it, to the next season. I don't think they're gonna. It should be 24, 25.
Well, it won't be 25 because they are establishing pretty much everything for the next arc in the next episode.
They're gonna end on a cliffhanger, and that's gonna suck.
Probably.
Because, like, there's still stuff to come.
It seems strange, though, because they're introducing and thus casting new characters that are going to be vitally important for next arc. And they're doing it at the end of a season where they're going to have one episode in this season, and then a full, 6 months? Where those cast members might find out, oh shit, I'm going to be busy, I won't be able to do this show. That sucks. That seems a strange way to do things.
Hey, it's how they're doing it. I'm not expecting this is a very seasonal show. I'm guessing they've already got people working on the next season and have been working on the next season since the season premiered. So maybe there'll be a quick turnaround, but I don't know.
Who knows?
But yeah, I really like this episode because it is rivals, but it's not friends. And that's a very clear distinction because in a lot of shonen anime, it's your friend rival or it's your rival, but you guys actually really hate each other's guts. And this is a rivalry that is kind of more starting to get established on a mutual respect.
Yeah, I guess. That's not the part of this episode that I latched onto. I latched more onto Bakugo's whole progression rather than the relationship between them, but yeah.
I was about to get to that. But I do want to say I do like that. And I really liked, in the manga, this was the thing, people would cite this for reasons why they liked Bakugo. This whole exchange, because Bakugo really does, he's always number one in the last couple popularity polls, because he really does grow over the course of the show. And, Midoriya is the main character, so they're going to be trying to... I feel like they're spreading out a lot of his big character moments.
Yeah,
but
also,
they're
also being the main character actually just gives you kind of a malice in those popularity polls because, main character is too obvious. That's why the Dark Horse character is even a thing.
Bakugo is very much the Vegeta of this show because he also gets, like Vegeta, a lot of character development. He's very much not the same kid that we saw in, episode 1. He's very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he's not the same, but at the same time, he kind of is the same. And that's the important part. You can see the drift to what he is now.
He's growing up. And I think that's really cool that can be portrayed in this show.
Yeah, they don't actually do that very much in shonen. Go figure. Most of the time, they skip that part.
Hey, Goku! Will you... Gosh darn it. The freaking in the original Dragon Ball, when Goku comes back after a few years, and he's much taller, and bigger, and he looks like a grown man now, like a young man, and he's still the same with the same voice actor in the
Yeah,
Japanese.
that was terrible. That was genuinely terrible.
And
I hate that shit. I hate it.
and they'll even try to age his voice up. And I feel like latching on to the innocence of youth without tempering it with any sort of maturity or realism. Like, that's a problem when you don't do that. When it's just, you want this character to be the same because people like that character when they are like this. But they'll like that character more when the character grows and matures and becomes more of a real person.
Incidentally, Dragon Ball Z Abridged episode 60 came out over the past few weeks, and
yeah, you know why I'm talking about Goku.
Yeah, I made a terrible mistake is quite possibly my favorite line in that entire series now.
And yeah, people like to see growth in their characters because it's something they can relate to. Nobody can relate to being innocent all the time.
Some people can, but they're kind of societal outliers for a reason.
A lot of people relate to Bakugo because they were kind of that asshole kid. So
a lot of people will relate to Deku because they were that kind of just kind of wimpy kid that thought he could maybe do great things if he just tried hard enough.
Yep. Those are two very relatable characters for reasons. I've seen some people say that Deku is like a flat character. I don't entirely agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all.
Like, I can see where it's coming from if you're taking it from a very surface level approach. But I do think that these characters work well because they're both compelling, both in how they affect each other and how they are alone and separate from that.
It works on multiple levels because, yeah, a lot of people remember being Bakugo. A lot of other people remember being Deku. But whichever one it is, you remember your relationship with the other one. Because that always fucking happened.
Yep.
So, the character is relatable and the relationship is also relatable. Which is fantastic.
I love this show so much.
So that's episode 61, and we'll be back with maybe I don't fucking know anymore. I don't know anymore. I'm very confused.
We'll be back with episode 62, which, from what I've been looking at, might be the last episode of the season.
Maybe. We'll see.
Because if they do another episode after the next one, I'm just convinced that it's going weekly.
Yep. It's just an extended episode order because they decided that whole next arc, that's not going to be a full season, and that's just going to make things awkward.
Or we're going on a little bit longer because, we could go to 25 because an episode was just a charity episode. So, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows at this point. So, bye everybody. See you next week.
Bye!